Discover divine blessings, 3 miraculous truths from Ecclesiastes and James under the sacred stars. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Solomon sat in the grand solitude of his palace, where a heavy weight rested upon his heart. The walls gleamed with gold but echoed with emptiness. Vanity of vanities! All is vanity, he lamented, his voice reverberating in the luxurious chambers that once housed great banquets and boisterous laughter. Outside, the city of Jerusalem bustled with life, yet within him stirred a profound longing for the meaning of life itself. He gazed beyond the palace grounds, witnessing the vibrant tapestry of existence woven by joy and toil. Solomon, the sage renowned for his wisdom, often found himself ensnared by thoughts that eluded even his understanding. For everything, there is a season, he humbly reminded himself, echoing the sacred scriptures that had been imparted to him. Each moment had a divinely ordained purpose, he mused, infusing the shadows of his solitude with a flicker of hope. As night descended, cloaking the city in darkness, he pondered the collective sorrows and joys of his people. Their laughter and tears echoed in the sanctuary of his mind, a reminder of the divine craftsmanship interwoven within the very fabric of their lives. He remembered the brave heart of Queen Esther, whose intercession had brought deliverance to her people. Would he rise to meet the challenges that threatened their peace? Days turned to weeks as Solomon immersed himself in discussions with wise men and the poetic hearts of his region. Yet, despite the wisdom and knowledge he gleaned, an emptiness lingered, urging him deeper into the inquiries of life. One starry night, as he walked beneath the vast heavens, he questioned his legacy. What shall my reign leave behind? How can I turn the tides of vanity into purpose? It was then that news reached him, a letter from the Apostle James, a leader whose faith resounded across distant shores. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, he wrote, offering a perspective that resonated with the struggles of Solomon's own people. Curiosity ignited in the king's heart as he gathered his scribes to inscribe the wisdom gleaned from this faithful servant. These trials were not mere burdens but opportunities for growth, reflecting the divine grace bestowed upon every life. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. In the throes of these musings, the sudden weight of realization pressed upon him. Each act of kindness, every sacrifice made in love, reflected God's unwavering presence among his people. This connection revealed a tapestry rich in spiritual depth, urging him to inspire those around him. With daylight piercing the horizon, he felt an urgency to impart these insights, uplifting hearts that shared the weight of existence. Yet, beneath the wonder lay a divine mystery, a question that remained tethered to his spirit. What was the essence of the sovereignty guiding these moments of grace? And even as Solomon sought understanding amidst the twilight shadows, the hope that flowed from his covenant with God beckoned him forward into a new dawn, waiting for the answers that would change everything. In the early light of dawn, the king gathered his council, his heart burning with a desire to share the divine revelations he had received. "Hear me, O wise men of Israel," he proclaimed, his voice resounding through the grand hall. "I have contemplated the ways of life and its winding path. We shall seek truth together and uncover the splendor of God's design within our trials." The council gathered closely, their attention wholly captured. Solomon continued with fervor, "The words of James reflect the trials we face as gold tested by fire. Consider the farmer who waits patiently for the harvest. Every season brings its challenges, yet in those moments of struggle is where divine providence reveals itself. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves," he quoted, recalling the teachings of the ancients. As his words floated upon the golden air, the sun rose higher, illuminating the hearts of the men before him. Jehoiada, a scholar known for his wisdom, interjected, "Your Highness, are we not dwarfed in the sight of God's greatness, unable to perceive his plans?" Yet in our trials, we find ourselves closer to him, shaped like clay in the hands of a potter. Solomon nodded solemnly, the truth of his words echoing in the depths of his being. Indeed, the prosperity of our people is bound up in their faithfulness and endurance. Even in our lowly states, there lies divine purpose. What, then, should be our response in the face of despair and burden? The council immersed in contemplation, a spiritual stillness enveloped them. Solomon sensed the heaviness of their hearts mirrored his own, and yet in this silence, a stirring of faith began to rise. Let us practice gratitude. Every moment presents an opportunity to draw near to God in our trials. Did not David, my father, ask, "What shall I render to the Lord for all his benefits to me?" The elders murmured in agreement, and a spark ignited in their eyes, igniting discussion among them. We are to be vessels of hope. Elioenai, a youth filled with zeal, exclaimed. Through our actions, we may illuminate the path for those who walk in darkness. Solomon's heart leapt at the response, and he continued, precisely. Our words and deeds shall be testimonies of God's faithfulness. As the people of Israel flower in faith, we shall be like roots drawing nourishment from the river of life, always producing fruit. Yet even as hope blossomed within him, the question of the covenant lingered still, a mystery woven into the fabric of God's sovereign plan. His mind drifted again to the prophecy proclaimed through Isaiah, "Yet it is the Lord who goes before you, he will be with you, he will not leave you or forsake you. Fear not, nor be dismayed." Suddenly, the doors of the council chamber swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in dust and weariness. "My lord," the messenger gasped, "urgent news from our northern borders. The nations stir and conspire against Israel. They seek to overthrow your reign." The king felt a wave crash against the fragile hope that had begun to bloom. The tides of adversity were upon them. He looked to his council and declared, "Let us rise, for our strength shall come from the Lord. In our trials lies the revelation of his sovereignty. We shall not fear, but trust in his promises." As he spoke those words, the weight of uncertainty hung in the air, mingling with the fervent anticipation of what was to come. What would their great God do next? How would this trial unfold in the grand tapestry of his sovereign plan? The resolve of the king and his council hung in the balance, poised to discover the unfolding of divine mysteries yet to be revealed. As the words of Solomon lingered in the air, a solemn murmur echoed among the council, each man wrestling with the gravity of the message. The flickering torches cast long shadows against the stone walls, a symbol of the darkness that was encroaching upon them. Solomon, seeing the faces of his advisers, felt compelled to remind them of the steadfast love of the Lord. "Brothers," he began, his voice steady, "let us recall the words of the psalmist, 'God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble,' Psalm 46 verse 1. We are united in this covenant, and though fierce the storms may rage, our God is a mighty fortress. He will not abandon his people." Jehoiada leaned forward, his brow furrowed in thought. "Your Highness, is it not written, 'In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths,' Proverbs 3 verse 6. We are to seek the face of the Lord in this hour of crisis. What counsel shall you give us, that our hearts may find peace amid this tumult?" A deep breath steadied Solomon as he remembered the faces of the faithful from generations past, the heroes who had trusted in God's providence. "Indeed, let us fast and pray," he decreed. "We shall beseech the Lord's wisdom, for he knows the hearts of men and can turn even the intentions of the wicked to good. Let us gather the people to join us in seeking the Lord's guidance." The council, emboldened by the king's words, nodded in agreement. "We will proclaim a day of fasting, that all may turn to the Lord with their hearts and souls," cried Elioenai, the fervor in his spirit igniting a passion in his elders. As the resolve took root, newly inspired discussions echoed through the chamber. Solomon's heart swelled with hope, yet the weight of uncertainty still pressed heavily upon him. What plans did the Lord have? He felt the pull of divine destiny weaving through the afflictions they faced, as if every struggle was a thread of a grander design. Soon thereafter, the council invested itself in preparations for the weighty task ahead. The ground felt solemn beneath their feet, and each man began to express his thoughts and strategies regarding the potential invasion. As they spoke, a sharp breeze swept through the hall, stirring the scrolls that lay upon the table, a reminder of God's living word that held greater wisdom than any earthly counsel. Suddenly, one of the counselors rose, his eyes alight with revelation. "What if, as the prophet said, the Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent?" Exodus 14 verse 14. "We may not rely on our own strength, but trust in His deliverance. Shall we not offer our hearts in humble submission to His will?" A holy hush fell over the gathering. The weight of those words breathed life into their resolve. Solomon's heart resonated with the truth of this, recognizing within himself the significance of waiting upon the Lord. His own trials were reflections of the greater warfare of faith that unfolded before them. "Indeed, my brother," he affirmed, "our silence shall be our strength, for our hope is anchored in the Almighty." He turned to his council, "Let us remember, the battle is the Lord's." 1 Samuel 17 verse 47. "In our trust, He will make our paths straight and lead us through." As they prepared to approach the Lord in prayer and fasting, the question lingered in Solomon's heart: how would God reveal His sovereignty in the days to come? What sovereign designs were hidden in this moment of crisis? In that stillness, a deeper faith began to coil within them, a belief that this trial, though daunting, was a river flowing toward the ocean of divine purpose. They were poised on the brink of a revelation, and even as shadows threatened the kingdom, the light of God's promises shone ever brighter. But what they did not yet perceive was that through this impending conflict, a new covenant was to be unveiled, revealing a glimpse of redemption woven into the heart of God's sovereign plan. As dawn broke over Jerusalem, a soft light illuminated the paths of the faithful, guiding them toward the temple. The air was thick with an expectancy, as the people gathered in response to Solomon's proclamation. Each heart beat with longing for divine direction, an echo of their unyielding trust in the Lord. Solomon stood at the altar, his countenance radiant with purpose. He raised his hands to heaven, his voice lifting above the murmuring crowd, "O Lord God of Israel, let it be known today that we are your people, gathered to seek your face. As it is written, you will seek me and find me, when you seek me with all your heart." Jeremiah 29 verse 13. In our humility, we plead for your mercy and guidance. As the voices of the faithful rose in unison, a spirit of unity enveloped them. Jehoiada stepped forward, his heart aflame with conviction. "Let us remember the words spoken by the prophet Hosea, come, let us return to the Lord, for He has torn us, that He may heal us, He has struck us down, and He will bind us up." Hosea 6 verse 1. Our brokenness shall not deter our faith, indeed, it shall lead us back to our Creator. In the depths of prayer, the ambience shifted as the stronghold of fear began to crumble. It was then that the Spirit of the Lord stirred among them, causing their hearts to leap with what would come next. Suddenly, a young woman, her voice trembling with reverence, rose amid the throng. "Your Highness," she began, "the Lord spoke to me in a vision during the night. I saw a great army advancing, but I also saw the hand of the Almighty stretched over us, protecting those who trust in Him. For He is known as the Lord of hosts," Psalm 46 verse 7, "and none shall be against us if we stand firm in faith." A gasp swept through the assembly, yet a quiet calm settled upon Solomon. He grasped her words, pondering the might of their deliverance. "Blessed are you for hearing the voice of the Lord," he declared. "May we cling to His promises as anchors for our souls in these turbulent times." The people, hearts ignited by hope, fell to their knees, prostrating themselves in fervent prayer. They pleaded for the Lord's intervention, beseeching Him to remember His covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In their cries, there was a harmonious understanding of their shared plight, echoing the psalmist's heart: "Trust in Him at all times, O people, pour out your heart before Him, God is a refuge for us." Psalm 62 verse 8. As their voices melded into a harmonious display of faith, a stillness enveloped the gathering, palpable, profound. In that holy hush, the Lord spoke through a thunderous rumbling, a whisper like thunder, as the very stones of the temple seemed to resonate. "I have heard your cries," the Lord declared. "And your prayers have ascended to my throne. Behold, I am sending a messenger to prepare the way. The trial you face is but a precursor to the glory that is to come, and by this act I shall bring forth a new deliverance. Solomon's heart raced, sensing the weight of the promise that would follow. What will you do, O Lord? He mused, his spirit ablaze with anticipation. As the assembly lingered in expectancy, shadows began to stretch as an ominous dark cloud gathered in the distance. Yet within them, a light flickered, a reminder that their hope was no longer misplaced. They were at the precipice of destiny, the dawn of divine revelation. For even as clouds gathered ominously over Jerusalem, it was within the very depths of darkness that the Lord was preparing to manifest the brilliance of his salvation, a foreshadowing of the greater covenant yet to be established. As the people remained kneeling in prayer, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. The air was electric, laden with the promise of intervention. Solomon, ever watchful, scanned the horizon, keenly aware that the spiritual battleground was ready for conflict. At that moment, the voice of the Lord resonated deeply within him, stirring a profound conviction. "Rise, my people," he commanded gently, "for the Lord's faithfulness is our stronghold. Let us prepare our hearts. For the days ahead shall not be darkened by despair but illuminated by his glory." Suddenly, the winds began to shift, and the ominous clouds bore witness to a gathering storm. The people's faces blurred with confusion, yet a glimmer of hope persisted within their hearts. Jehoiada, sensing the unease, rose to address the assembly once more. "Sons and daughters of Zion, our God has promised us protection. Remember the words of the prophet Isaiah, 'No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed,' Isaiah 54 verse 17. He is our shield and our fortress." The murmurs of encouragement enveloped the crowd, lifting their spirits as they proclaimed God's goodness. "We trust in you, O Lord," they chanted. "Deliver us from our foes." As the prayer escalated in fervor, the young woman who had first spoken stepped forth again, her face illuminated by the dim light peeking through. "I beheld further in my vision," she declared with fearless boldness, "and I saw a great light breaking through the clouds. An angelic presence descended and spoke, saying, 'Fear not. For behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people,' Luke 2 verse 10. In that exalted moment, the people's hearts erupted with joy, their fears momentarily eclipsed by the beauty of the unfolding revelation. The dark clouds above did not bow out silently, rather, they rumbled, creating a symphony that reflected the brewing war between light and darkness. Solomon raised his hands to invoke the presence of God. "Lord, let us be instruments of your peace. But prepare us for the test ahead, O faithful one. As we face our adversaries, remind us that our battle is not against flesh and blood," Ephesians 6 verse 12. Suddenly, a tremor resonated, not just in the earth beneath their feet, but in their very souls. The people trembled as a mighty wind surged through the temple grounds, fanning the flames of faith and igniting hearts anew. "He is here." Some cried out, while others fell to the ground, overwhelmed by the holy presence. And in that sacred moment, the clouds parted, revealing patches of azure and light that streamed warmly upon the congregation. The transformation was palpable as a new resolve grew amongst them. "Let us prepare a path for him. No foe dares intervene with souls aflame with trust," Solomon proclaimed, galvanizing their efforts as one. As they began to rally their spirits and resources for the coming trial, a shadow flickered across the land, a fleeting silhouette that demanded their attention. The cries of the spirit world echoed in unison with their own. "Can you hear the call?" a voice implored. For true deliverance is born from faith and sacrifice. In your next steps, your destiny will unfold. Thus, with every passing moment, they stood on the edge of prophecy and promise, amid fierce winds and radiant hopes. A singular thought lingered in the hearts of all present: what glory shall be revealed in the face of fear, as the Lord weaves together strands of their lives into a tapestry of his redemptive purpose? As the people gathered their strength, a profound stillness enveloped the land, as if the earth itself awaited the next move in this divine drama. The wind stilled, and the sun peeked through the clouds, a subtle reminder of God's sovereign presence among them. Solomon, heart steady yet eager, stepped back and beheld the assembly, wondering how the Lord would reveal his power in their midst. "Listen, O sons of Jacob, hear the words of the Lord," Solomon proclaimed, drawing every ear and heart toward him. "The Lord has revealed to me that we must not grow disheartened by the trials we face. For as it is written, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you." Isaiah 43 verse 2. We stand united, hand in hand, ready to confront the darkness that seeks to overshadow our faith. With renewed resolve, the people murmured in agreement, and a chorus arose from their lips, echoing the promises of their God. "He is our refuge. He is our strength." The voices harmonized, a rising tide of faith washing over the valley of despair. Then, as the last note hung in the air like a fragrant offering, the skies darkened once more, and a flash of lightning illuminated the horizon. The crowd gasped, for in the lightning's wake appeared a divine messenger cloaked in radiance, his voice echoing like thunder, "Fear not, for I bring tidings from the throne of the Most High. Your prayers have ascended like incense before him, and he has chosen this day for deliverance." The angel's proclamation struck the hearts of the assembly with holy conviction. Tears flowed freely, and many fell upon their faces, lifting trembling hands toward heaven. In that sacred moment, the atmosphere shifted, igniting a fervor within the very fabric of their beings. "Behold, the Lord shall raise a standard against those who seek to oppose you," the angel continued. "For in this hour, he commands his legions, and no power of hell shall stand against his mighty hand. Take courage, O faithful sons and daughters, for you are destined for victory." Emboldened by divine assurance, Solomon turned to the people, his eyes reflecting both fear and faith intermingled. "Let us prepare our hearts, for the hour is upon us. Gather the resources of our land, priests, warriors, and those who craft. We shall be ready as an army standing firm, wielding our praises as swords. For the Lord has instructed us, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." Proverbs 3 verse 6. Amid the throbbing pulse of anticipation, those assembled rushed to obey, their hearts bound together by the Spirit of the living God. They began to form battle plans grounded in prayer, each one contributing their unique gifts and passions. The sound of hammers striking nails and the clinking of shields united in a symphony of preparation as the heavens began to grow darker still. In the tumult of their preparations, the young woman who first shared her vision stepped forward once more, her countenance glowing with revelation. "Wait! There is more to be astir in the heavens. The angel told me of a sign to behold, a firmament shall testify of the promise that our deliverance is at hand, and from the sky shall descend a light that no darkness can swallow. Prepare your hearts, O people, for the Lord will display his glory in ways unforeseen." Thus, united under the weight of divine expectation, the people of Zion stood poised on the brink of manifestation. What awaited them both in battle and in faith remains unseen. What cosmic signs and wonders does Almighty God have prepared, as realms collide and destinies converge in this sacred moment? As the din of preparation filled the air, a palpable tension wove through the hearts of the people, each soul aware that they stood on the threshold of something extraordinary. Solomon, sensing this divine urgency, called the assembly once more. The shouts of craftsmen and the clank of metal began to fade as he raised his hands, signaling for silence. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice steady yet reverberating with intensity, "let us turn our hearts to the Lord, for he is our guide in every endeavor. As it is written, commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established." Proverbs 16 verse 3. Let this undertaking be for his glory, that we may witness his mighty works. The assembly, enkindled by faith, lowered their heads in reverence, seeking counsel from the Almighty. There in the stillness of their gathering, a spirit of prophecy settled upon them. They prayed fervently, lifting their voices in unified supplication, seeking clarity and strength for the battleground ahead. In the fervently woven fabric of prayer, a profound hush descended, and a dense mist enveloped the assembly. From within the ether, the voice of the Lord echoed forth, "I am with you. Even now, I am stirring the hearts of my children to rise up against the encroaching shadows. Fear not the enemy that rises, for I have already ordained your victory. As the mist receded, a radiant beam broke through the darkened skies, illuminating the figures arrayed before it. In that holy light, the assembly caught a glimpse of courage to cast aside doubt. The young woman who had declared the vision now stood triumphantly anew, speaking in the authority of the Spirit. The Lord is saying, "The weapons of your warfare are not of the flesh but have divine power to destroy strongholds." 2 Corinthians 10 verse 4. We shall not fight as the world fights, but our battle is fought in prayer and in the Spirit. At her words, the gathered people began to articulate a symphony of oaths to fast, pray, and worship until the dawn. They sought the Lord's strategy for their upcoming struggle just as David sought after God's heart, Acts 13 verse 22. Solomon instructed the priests to lead in worship, for the battle belonged to the Lord, and victory was theirs to declare. As the priests began to chant hymns of praise, the atmosphere shifted again, echoing the tenets of their faith. The chords of harps and the sound of trumpets filled the air as they proclaimed, "For you, O Lord, are a shield about us, our glory, and the lifter of our heads." Psalm 3 verse 3. Suddenly, a great tremor shook the ground, as if the heavens themselves conspired to announce the coming of God's power. The land shook, and all eyes were lifted toward the heavens, where they beheld violent storms brewing. Flashes of lightning danced against the canvas of the night sky, each strike a drawing back of the veil to reveal divine purpose. Among the assembly, an elder rose, his voice rich with wisdom, reminding them, "Trust not in your own understanding but in all your ways acknowledge him." Proverbs 3 verse 5. The reminder echoed against the mountains surrounding them, and the people responded with renewed fervor, their faith swelling like the tide in anticipation of an answer yet to come. As the energy built, the fearsome gravity of their situation metamorphosed into exhilarating hope. In that space, the young woman again spoke, her heart ignited with realization. The sign is yet to be fully unveiled. The heavens will declare his glory, prepare yourselves. For the Lord, in his sovereign plan, has woven us into a tapestry of triumph, and something monumental is about to unfold. Thus, as the people clung to faith and awaited the sign of God's promise, the cosmic clocks began to tick, heralding an unfolding revelation in the heavenly realms. What divine manifestations awaited them as dusk turned to dawn, igniting a newfound light upon their path to victory. As dawn began to break, the soft light of the morning cast upon the assembly a warm glow, reminiscent of the loving kindness of the Lord. The people, still gripped by the previous night's fervor, gathered with renewed expectancy. Their hearts were aligned, their spirits ablaze with the promise of the Almighty. Solomon arose, his countenance shining like the sun, as wisdom flowed from his lips. "Beloved," he declared, "it is written, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." Proverbs 4 verse 18. We are called to be the light in a darkened world. Let our thoughts, words, and actions reflect his glory today. They responded with a chorus of amen, their voices rising in unity, carrying their faith into the heavens. Yet, among the throng, a ripple of uncertainty lingered, for the looming shadow of the enemy was like a storm cloud gathering on the horizon. The young woman, emboldened by the Spirit, stepped forward once more. "Fear not, for I feel the presence of the Lord among us. We are not grappling with powers of flesh and blood but are engaged in a heavenly conflict," she proclaimed, her heart beating in synchrony with the divine rhythm. "Remember, for it is written, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Romans 8 verse 28. Our struggle has purpose, it shapes us for his glory. With each word, the atmosphere grew charged, and the assembly stirred with a palpable sense of anticipation. Solomon prayed for wisdom in their gathering, lifting his hands toward the heavens. "O God of Israel, grant us insight as we enter this new day. Illuminate the path before us, that we might walk in your truth and revelation, equipped for the works you have prepared for us." As he spoke, a sudden wind swept through, rustling the leaves of the olive trees surrounding them, invoking memories of prophetic whispers long ago. An elder, his heart stirred, rose to speak. "In the days of old, we have seen God move among us. He parted the sea and provided manna in the desert. Do not doubt his mighty hand, for he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13 verse 8. The people cheered in affirmation, emboldened by their shared history of God's faithfulness. The sky began to shift colors, each brushstroke a reminder of the covenant promises bestowed upon their forefathers. It was in this sacred moment that a heavenly silence enveloped them. Then, from the stillness, a voice spoke with authority, "You are etched upon the palms of my hands. Your cities are ever before me." Isaiah 49 verse 16. The words resonated deeply within every listener, their spirits ignited, each heart marking the divine appointment as sacred. Just as the sun broke forth fully upon the earth, illuminating all in its radiant embrace, so too did revelation dawn within the assembly. One among them, a young boy, raised his small hand, trembling with the weight of the moment. Let us remember, our victory is not solely in battles won, but in hearts turned to the Lord, he proclaimed boldly. As it is written, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." James 4 verse 8. With that, a wave of fervent prayer poured forth from the assembly anew. They sought not only triumph over foes but transformation of heart, longing to draw closer to their God. As the assembly surrendered, their prayers intertwined, woven together like the fabric of the heavens. Each word became a thread in the tapestry of divine purpose, intensifying the spiritual currents around them. And as they prayed, the heavens responded, sending an ethereal light cascading down upon them, a foreshadowing of the glory that was to be revealed. But what further truths would the Lord unveil through these humble hearts awaiting his command? As the fervent prayers echoed like a heavenly symphony, a palpable energy enveloped the assembly, drawing their minds and hearts to the heavens. Solomon, still with uplifted hands, sensed the divine movement among his people, and he paused, his spirit attuned to the whispers of the Almighty. "Gather close," he beckoned, his voice ringing with urgency. For the Lord reveals his heart when we seek him in the depths of our being. Before we proceed, let us reflect on the promises spoken to our ancestors. With reverence, he began to recount, "Remember, O Israel, how our forefathers were guided by the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. For the Lord promised through the prophet, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known, I will turn the darkness into light before them." Isaiah 42 verse 16. This day is not unlike those days. Our God is still in the business of leading his people. The fervor of the moment met the hearts of the people, as they nodded in understanding, their thoughts returning to the wondrous acts of God throughout their history. Suddenly, the air thickened with divine presence, and the young woman spoke again, her voice a clarion call, "The Lord is an ever-present help in times of trouble." Psalm 46 verse 1. But we must take action, beloved. We must lift our eyes to the hills from where our help comes. For surely, our God will not abandon us. Her word struck deep, reminder that faith without works is but a whisper in the wind. With that, the assembly began to stand, shifting their prayers into action, gathering their children and their families around them. They formed a circle, uniting their hearts with purpose and intent. Then, from amidst them, a soft voice chimed, that of an elderly woman, wise and seasoned in faith. Do not forget the words of the teacher, who said, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10. We must labor not just in body but in spirit. Our might is not our own but in the strength of the Lord. With her encouragement, they extended their hands to one another, sealing their hearts as one body. As their hearts aligned in common cause, the heavens seemed to open further, and the brightness intensified, revealing a tapestry of light dancing like stars across the sky. Solomon, seeing this divine manifestation, proclaimed, "Rejoice, for the Lord speaks even now. He desires our hearts, our willingness to serve." And he began to sing a new song, a song of trust and hope, declaring the promises of God. Yes. They responded, "His grace is sufficient, and his strength is made perfect in our weakness." 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. With renewed fervor, they began to intercede for the city, for the vulnerable, for peace in their land. As their voices soared, a gust of wind swept through, carrying their prayers upward like a sweet aroma before the throne of grace. The intense light converged into a single beam, illuminating a path that stretched beyond their immediate vision. In the silence that fell, a profound truth echoed through their hearts, knitting each individual into a greater purpose, the sacred plan of God's unfolding story. Then let us aspire, Solomon urged, to be the vessels through which his glory will be revealed. For we have not just been called to endure, we have been set apart to shine brightly. Amidst their growing hope, an ominous whisper drifted in the air, a foreboding reminder of the battles yet to come. As the assembly held their breath, a distant thundering was heard, ominous clouds forming on the horizon, a sign of trouble stirring nearby. Yet, within that cloud, a promise emerged, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29 verse 11. What path would the Lord carve through the dark clouds, and how would he reveal his purpose in the coming storm? As the dark clouds loomed on the horizon, casting shadows over the people of Jerusalem, an air of tension filled the hearts of Solomon's assembly. Yet, encased within that shadow was a beacon of hope, for they had gathered together, enveloped in the assurance of divine purpose. Solomon, bold in spirit, called his people to focus not on what threatened them but on the unshakable faithfulness of their God. "Beloved children of Israel," he began, his voice unwavering, "we stand upon the brink of a pivotal moment. The very heavens and earth bear witness to our cries. We have seen the Lord's deliverance in days of old, thus, we shall see it again. As it is written, but the salvation of the righteous is from the Lord, he is their stronghold in the time of trouble." Psalm 37 verse 39. Let our hearts not falter but rather be steadfast, anchored in the promises of our God. The assembly resounded with shouts of agreement, their spirits ignited by the fire of faith. "We will trust in the Lord," they declared, a collective wave of hope rising above the rumble of impending adversity. In that sacred moment, as the sun's light struggled to penetrate the swirling clouds, the young woman who had previously received visions rose to her feet, her eyes ablaze with fervent confidence. "O people, do not let your hearts be troubled. For I heard the voice of the Lord speak through the winds, I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward." Genesis 15 verse 1. He has seen our plight and has already purposed our victory. Solomon nodded gravely, understanding the depth of her proclamation. The power of mutual prayer and unwavering faith transformed the atmosphere as they called upon their God together. "Let us then prepare for battle, not with swords forged in steel, but with praises raised high and hearts surrendered in worship. For the battle belongs to the Lord." 1 Samuel 17 verse 47. As they lifted their voices in song, the harmony echoed like the rise of the dawn, and the clouds responded with rumbling thunder as if to acknowledge their worship. The people stood firm, enveloped in the embrace of the Creator as they sang of his goodness, drawing strength from the depth of their connection to him. Simultaneously, whispers of hope took root among the hearts of the individuals within the crowd. Jehoiada stepped forward, his voice steady and wise. "We must remember that God fights for us. He has proven his might among us time and again." The crowds murmured their agreement, rallying together, strengthened by the solid truth of their shared history. Just as the storm seemed inevitable, a brilliant flash of light pierced through the dark clouds. Solomon raised his hands dramatically, "Look! The Lord is revealing his glory." Our obedience in prayer and praise is sometimes what brings the divine into action. With the skies swirling above them, a small group of warriors emerged, standing firm alongside the priests. Solomon saw their resolve echoed in every face. "Arm yourselves with faith. Equip yourselves with prayer. For we are ready to engage this battle armed with the armor of God." The people cheered, emboldened by their shared commitment to stand resolutely in faith. They were no longer mere observers at the precipice of fear, they transformed into warriors unified in purpose with God as their commander. As the storm brewed, a message of divine assurance echoed from the heavens, resonating deep within every heart. "When fear rises, let faith reign. Stand firm in the day of battle, for the Lord your God is with you and shall bring forth the victory." With renewed bravery, they encircled the assembly, voices blending in a powerful declaration of trust. Solomon led them in a sacred psalm, calling upon the name of the Lord, the unwavering source of strength and salvation. Let it be known, O enemy, that we do not fight in our strength or wisdom but in the authority of the Almighty. As his words lingered in the air, they felt a mighty wind rise, as if heaven itself responded to their proclamation. And suddenly, the skies began to clear, a tapestry of divine light breaking through the darkness, illuminating every spirit gathered below. Behold! Solomon cried out, the dawn of deliverance arises just beyond the clouds. The people turned their eyes upward and beheld a glorious sign, a radiant brilliance cascading down, heralding the very presence of God among them. An angelic host filled the sky, resplendent in glory, as a voice from heaven resounded, "Fear not, for today I declare victory. Your hearts have been prepared to receive the joy of my deliverance." With hearts ignited in ecstatic praise, the assembly fell to their knees, tears flowing freely as they embraced the divine promise. He is here. Our God has won the battle. They proclaimed, reflecting the goodness and faithfulness of their Father. In that moment of overwhelming grace, the clouds retreated, leaving a serene sky framed by the warm embrace of sunlight. Solomon beheld the assembly, transformed by divine courage, understanding that their fears had indeed birthed faith. We have witnessed the Lord's faithfulness today. Let us go forth and tell of his wondrous deeds. For we have not only emerged from our trials but have also been restored into deeper covenant with him. Sustained by the sacred strength of their community, the assembly rose and echoed through the streets of Jerusalem, a new song on their lips, a testament of the victory they had experienced together. But the question remained, how would they walk forward in this newfound faith, carrying the light of hope into the world? In that pivotal moment, the assembly understood, they had been called to share the transformative truths of God's sovereignty and his redemptive purpose, becoming ambassadors of grace to all who would listen. Let the world hear of our hope, and may our hearts remain steadfast. They declared, not only as victors but as children of a promise that would carry into generations. This is the moment to embrace God's glorious narrative. As they stepped boldly into the days ahead, a love ignited their hearts, promising that even in trials, God would be glorified, and his people would shine like stars against the expansive night sky, forever bearing witness to his enduring faithfulness. With that resolve, they rallied together, calling upon every man, woman, and child throughout Israel, "Let us celebrate, for the Lord has accomplished great things. Declare his glory, for his victory covers us all." As they marched forward, the scriptures etched into their hearts echoed through their spirits, compelling them to share this undeniable truth: the joy of the Lord is our strength. In that everlasting moment, the legacy of their faith began anew, a sacred story of divine intervention, solidarity, and an unwavering truth that would reign in their hearts forever. As we conclude this powerful tale of faith and divine triumph, let it resonate within you. Take action now, subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next powerful biblical stories. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm. Your engagement can touch many souls. Comment your spiritual reflections and share how this biblical story impacted your faith journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content to reach more souls for Christ. Let us be the bearers of his light.